Exploring eerie backgrounds can be very exciting and a curious activity. For various reasons, people sometimes have to take a spade and dig up their property. Stumbling across some rusty rummage buried underground comes as no surprise. But there have been findings that left their finders in absolute amazement. Number 10. An amateur historian named Stephen Davis from England was researching the history of his own house with his historian friend Claire Forbes. They used ancient documents to help track down the Hoarstone near Stroud, Gloucestershire, some 350 years after it was lost. Mr. Davis learned of the stone when he began researching the history of his own house in 1987. He then started to swap notes with local historian Miss Forbes, and this led to the pair agreeing to look for the stone together. The first known reference to the stone was in legal documents dated 1170, but it is believed to mark a Bronze Age burial site dating back to around 2500 BC. He was completely shocked when he actually found the stone in his backyard, completely covered with ivy. At the time of the find, the Historic Buildings and Monuments Commission for England was expected to pronounce the stone a scheduled ancient monument. Number 9. Excavating your property can be exciting, especially if you're doing so in preparation for a home addition. However, sometimes you might be in for more excitement than you expected, as was the case for a Czech Republic man in 2013. Although he set out to take care of his plumbing systems with some modern upgrades, he ended up with a surprising discovery. He started digging up his backyard to install some pipes when he stumbled across unusual metal objects. After excavation, he found out it was 2 large bells about 400 years old. Later, it turned out that the bells were stolen 11 years earlier from a nearby church. The thief who buried them might have attempted to hide them, but for some reason didn't get to retrieve them. Number 8. When Vincent Marcello from New Orleans, Louisiana, decided to dig a plot in his backyard for a swimming pool, he ended up discovering a historic cemetery that dates back to the 1700s. The workers unearthed 13 caskets with human remains. The caskets were said to be stacked one on top of the other underground at the property that used to be St. Peter's Cemetery before it was closed down. Marcello knew his land had historic ties, but did not expect to find human remains. However, it was not the first time bodies had been discovered underground in the area. In 1984, 36 corpses were found when an apartment complex was being built. Number 7. Eric Stamatin's expeditions into his family's wooden Detroit backyard have yielded plenty of interesting finds, but none to rival the 13,000-year-old artifact he and his cousin dug up. Eric and cousin Andrew Gaineri, who were both 11 years old, were building a dam in the creek that flows through the yard when Eric saw a strange looking rock sticking up from the ground. At least he thought it was a rock. Supposing it might have been a bone, the family called in an expert named John Sawiski at the Cranbrook Institute of Science in Bloomfield Hills, who later authenticated the bone as a vertebrae from a mastodon some 13,000 years old. Number 6. In Florida, alligators found in backyards are not unheard of, but alligators taking a dip in a backyard swimming pool is another story. This is exactly what Sharon Bente and her husband from Brad Denton saw when they heard a noise in their backyard in the middle of the night. The 8 feet alligator was swimming in circles along with a little floating toy. The couple called the sheriff's office, and the gator was taken to a farm in Arcadia. 5. An unidentified Austrian man from Wiener Neustadt found a treasure trove estimated to be about 650 years old while digging to expand a garden pool in 2007. The trove contained more than 200 rings, brooches, ornate belt buckles, gold-plated, silver plates and other pieces of fragments, many encrusted with pearls, fossilized coral and other ornaments.
4.
In 1997, John Lambert from Ipswich, UK, was building a fence in his backyard when he found a large and unusual bone. He thought it could be an important find, but he just put it in his shed where the bone sat for another 16 years. Finally, in 2013, he gave the museum a call and took it to Ipswich Museum, where experts were astounded. They confirmed it to be the bone of a 250 million year old 65-foot plesiosaur, but the plesiosaur was not native to English Sea, which made the find even more mysterious.
3.
In 1996, then 47-year-old Canadian-born actress Margaret Kidder, the spunky Lois Lane in the Superman movies, was found in someone's backyard in Glendale, California. The actress, who was battling health and financial problems at the time, had been missing for 3 days before she was found. The police said she appeared frightened and paranoid and was in obvious mental distress. Police Sergeant Rick Young said Kidder was taken to a psychiatric centre at Olive View Medical Centre in Syomar. He said, "We do not feel that there has been a crime at this time." She claimed that she was followed and assaulted, but we found no evidence of that. Kidder was found crouching and wearing rumpled, soiled clothing and appeared to have cut off her own hair in an attempt to alter her appearance, authorities said. "We asked her who was following her. She wouldn't say," Young said. She had scratches and bruises, but Young said police believe she received them from hiding in bushes after disappearing. He said tests showed no signs of drugs or alcohol in her system at the time that she was found.
2.
A couple from Sierra Nevada, California, experienced what all treasure hunters dream about. When walking their dog on their property, they saw a top of a rusty canister poking out of the ground. The canister contained a bunch of gold discs, and they took it home. They found out the discs were well preserved, $20 gold coins dating back to 1890s. They hurried back to the location of their find and discovered a total of 8 cans containing 1,427 coins, with a face value of $27,980. Coin dealer Don Kagan and David McCarthy helped them restore the coins and evaluate them. The hoard of coins were estimated to be worth about $10 million.
1.
In 1978, Gary Johnson from California noticed a large rock sticking out of the ground with a bone pattern in it near his backyard. Thinking it could be an important find, Johnson called in an expert to evaluate it. However, the expert said it had no value. Then the stone sat in the backyard for over 35 years until February 2014, when Johnson was watching the news and saw a huge piece of a 12 million year old sperm whale skull found just a few hundred yards away from where he found the stone. Johnson called another expert at the Natural History Museum. This time he was lucky. They estimated the fossil to be the 14 to 16 million years old remains of a very rare baleen whale.